So the comment letter trends, I would say year over year, are fairly consistent. So we're seeing, non-GAAP metrics being the top. We're seeing MD&A comments as well. We're seeing segment reporting. We're seeing revenue, and we're seeing a little bit around fair value measurement.
Joining me today to talk about some of the regulatory and policy issues impacting REITs is Bill Staffieri, partner with PwC. Bill, can you start by talking a little bit about the SEC's current priorities and areas of focus as they pertain to REITs?
Sure, yeah, no, so the SEC right now is focused on a handful of items, and it's very much driven by the tone at the top from the Chairman Gensler. Right now, I think the biggest focus for them is around ESG, climate change. We've seen some recent disclosure requirements come out over the past year around human capital, and then just a few days ago saw some recent guidance come out around climate change and additional disclosures that they're proposing. So that is kind of top focus, I would say, right now. The other items that the SEC is focused on at the moment are around cryptocurrency, around SPACs, special purpose acquisition companies, a lot of activity around that, pretty hot space. And it's also focused around cybersecurity and then some proxy rules. I think that probably rounds it out. And I think they're also doing a little bit around equity market reform. That's kind of their agenda right now.
Now, there have been various policy changes that have gone into effect over the past couple of years. Can you give us a quick reminder of the most recent ones? And were any of those rule changes focused specifically on the real estate sector?
Sure, so the prior administration, so the prior commission was very focused on simplification. So a lot of the guidance that came out over the past couple of years that was effective over this past year has been what I would call disclosure simplification, right? So either eliminating disclosures, modernizing disclosures, really trying to focus on not having repetitive disclosure within the filer's financial statement. So you saw a lot of that, which was actually pretty beneficial to all registrants, including REITs. You also saw some additional disclosure requirements as well. I mentioned human capital. So that's, I think, been some of the recent changes that have come out. And then around the real estate sector specifically, they revisited and refined some of the rules around significance tests for acquisitions and dispositions. I would say primarily to align the rules for 314 to 305. So they increased the threshold, which, again, the intent there, I think, was to be beneficial for the real estate industry, I think specifically. But what the comments came back and said and some of the thoughts around that, maybe some unintended consequences. They did replace total assets being the denominator with this concept of worldwide market value. So for REITs, which are generally highly leveraged vehicles, it sometimes didn't have as favorable of an outcome in those tests. And I would say the other thing around that is just around non-traded REITs. So they took the rule away that would allow them to use NAV as part of that test. So that was kind of specific and I would say the most impactful to the REIT sector.
Lastly, can you give us an update on the comment letters and what you're seeing in terms of themes across them? And how about comment letters in the public REIT sector?
Sure, Matt. So the comment letter trends, I would say year over year, are fairly consistent. So we're seeing non-GAAP metrics being the top. We're seeing MD&A comments as well. We're seeing segment reporting. We're seeing revenue. And we're seeing a little bit around fair value measurement. Those are kind of the top 5 that we've seen across all registrants. When you look at REITs specifically, very much focused on non-GAAP measures for obvious reasons. And I think it's really around the prominence. So when you look at GAAP versus non-GAAP, it's looking at the adjustments being made to the non-GAAP metrics and just additional disclosure around those areas. That's what we're seeing across the REITs. And there's some comment letters also around consolidation, but I would say primarily non-GAAP metrics.